everybody, welcome to our third week of the trimester. We were studying the tithe contract, and many people on those days says the tithe is not important, the tithe is on the past. You don't need to bring back to God the tithe or your salary. But the Bible is pretty clear in Matthew chapter 5 verse 18. Let's read. It says, I assure you that nothing will disappear from the law until heaven and earth are gone. The law will not lose even the smallest letter or the smallest part of a letter until it has all been done. My dear people, today we are going to analyze a pretty important question. What does the Bible teach us about the tithe? The title of Sunday lesson is Tithe equal as 10%. How can I get the 10% of amount? It's really easy. Let's see that sample. If our salary is 30,000 per month, 30,000 Dominican pesos, for example, per month, we just do this simple formula. The amount plus 0.10 and the result will be your 10% of the amount. Okay, the 10% is the tithe. In this case, 3,000. Many people don't believe that the Bible that the entire Bible is for these days. Why not believe at all? If we believe in Abraham and Jacob, if we really believe that they existed in some moment of the history, human history, why don't believe that the tithe is part of this? For example, many people you have heard them, the tithe is just for the Israelite people. The tithe was just for Levi's tribe, but some characters gave back to him, gave back the tithe even before the creation, the consolidation of the Israelite people. For example, in Genesis chapter 14, we find the Abraham's history, and in chapter 28, the Jacob's history. So if we read carefully, we can also notice that the tithe was in the past with them and still be in the present with us. The tithe has been always with us, with the humanity. Where is the storehouse? Let's read in Malachi chapter 3 verse 10. The Lord all-powerful says, try this test, bring 1/10 of your things to me, put them in the treasury, bring food to my house, test me. If you do these things, I will surely bless you. Good things will come to you, like rain falling from the sky. You will have more than enough of everything. Some people think in this way. Okay, I have the 10% of my salary or my incomes. There is poor people around me. There are poor people around me. So this money I will give them. It's fun because if it's true that the tithe it's for God's work, that's not the right way that we should manage that resource. We should bring all our tithe to the church, because in the church there are special people designated for managing all the resources that the church receives. It's pretty easy. If you want to help somebody, do it with your 90%. Remember the scale of 100%. The 10 is for God and the other 90 is for you. And now you have the question, what is the purpose of tithing? It's really easy. Let's read 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 14. It is the same with those who have the work of telling the good news. The Lord has commanded that those who tell the good news should get their living from this work. But, I know that many of you should think, oh, so my money is for the pastor. And now I understand why pastors are so rich and the congregation, well, the people who go to the church, it's poor. No, my friends, it's not so terrible as you are thinking about. I have an example to you. Look how the Seventh Adventist Day Church manage the tithe. So we have this, and of course, remember, in a scale of 100%, the 60% of the tithe is for the local church. All the projects that the local church have. Remember that we exist for preaching the good news of the gospel. So the other 20% is for the association. I will explain you more that, and the last 20% is for the global missions. Global missions studies. So what is that? I don't understand. We have a complex system. The local church in my neighborhood receives all the tithe and offerings, right? Okay. And the tithe go to the Dominican Central Association, and from the Dominican Central Association goes to the Dominican Union, and from the Dominican Union goes to the Inter-American Division, and the last part of this large process, from the Inter-American Division goes to General Conference. For this, but what is that? I'm still not understanding. The church, my church, Adventist Day, have different eslabones. General Conference is the highest and is the final if the final page when my tithe, the tithe that I give to the church, goes. The General Conference, and then our world is divided in divisions. Okay, so I belong to the Inter-American Division. Dominican Republic belongs to the Inter-American Division. From the Inter-American Division, we are in the Dominican Union, and it's already in our country. It's the name of our country, and in our country it six different associations. So 6 different divisions, internal divisions. The Dominican South Association, the Dominican North Association, etc., etc., etc. I belong to the Dominican Central Association because I live in the capital city, Santo Domingo. But in Santo Domingo, I belong to a local church, and my local church is where I live. So all of this process, the tithe is the way of the tithe. Okay, so with the tithe, we pay the labor of the pastors, but not all the money is for them. The construction of the different churches around the world and around the national territory is doing with the tithe. And what else? The construction of colleges and universities and schools, whatever. The purpose of tithing is proclaiming the good news, is for the gospel. You want to know the gospel? The tithe is the way that we we will take you to the final. On Wednesday lesson, we find another question. Tithing on the gross or net income? There is a difference. For example, many of you work in a company that your salary is not real at all. For example, your salary is 30,000 per month, but when the day comes, oh, I will get my salary. There's some taxes, for example, secure life and other stuff. And at the end, it's not 30,000. It's, for example, 25,000. So the tithe of 25,000 it's completely different of 30,000. If we apply the formula, we can find that the tithe of 30,000 Dominican pesos is 3,000, but the tithe of 25,000 is 2,500 Dominican pesos. So you know the difference. And many Christians, many people that want to bring the tithe ask, I should tithe on my gross or my net income, even if I have some discounts. The answer, we can find it in a history in the Bible. The Bible has all the answers that you can imagine. The Bible has it, and the history is in book of 1 Kings chapter 17. And I will make a summary because we don't have so much time. In this history story, Israel people got bad behavior, and for all their sins got a punishment. No rain without 3 years. Terrible. It was a critical situation. In chapter 17, we find Elijah prophet, and God spoke to him and said, go to Sarepta, because you can find a widow, and she will take care of you. Okay, God. Elijah went to Sarepta and find the widow, get him some good for the feed, and he told her, hey, I want a cup of glass. I want a glass of water, sorry. And she, oh yeah, well, of course. And when she came back with a glass of water, he also said, and I want a slab of bread. And she like, oh well, sir, that's complicated, because with this situation, the last portion that we have in our house is for me and my son, and after eat it, we will die, because there is no more food in the house. Any of my neighbors have anything, and we can see the answer of God. And I would like that you read with me 1 Kings chapter 17 verses 13 and 14. Elijah said to the woman, don't worry, go home and cook your food as you said, but first make a small piece of bread from the flour that you have and bring it to me. Then cook some for yourself and your son. The Lord, the God of Israel, says, that jar of flour will never be empty, and the jug will always have oil in it. This will continue until the day the Lord sends rain to the land. And in that moment, I can imagine the woman thinking, wow, her faith was testing. Extremely testing. It was a difficult decision, but she decided to believe on God, and she gave the tithe. When she bring to the prophet the first part of the bread, it's a comparison of the tithe. When we trust on God's purpose, when we bring back to Him the tithe, the blessings, as Malachi says, are more than enough. And you can imagine how amazing is God. So don't forget to trust on God even in your difficult situations, even in the hardest possible scenarios that you can be. The widow did it, and the worst was unbelievable. The answer to the Wednesday question is tithing on the gross income. If your salary is 30,000 Dominican pesos, your tithe will be based on 30,000, not when the discounts are applied. For finishing our analysis of this week, we have another question on Thursday lesson, and it says an honest or faithful tithe. Let's read 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 1 and 2. You should think of us as servants of Christ, the ones God has trusted to do the work of making known His secret truth. Those who are trusted with such an important work must show that they are worthy of that trust. Worthy, and in other versions of the Bible, you can explicit read faithful. For this, but if I'm bringing back my tithe to God, I'm being honest, not at all. Some people do this by a custom, normal, but it's not a real, how can I say it? When you understand specifically what are you doing that, the purpose of that, and what it really means, it's different than just put the money in the plate. It's completely different. We are a steward of God, and when God comes in His second coming, He wants to find loyal people. He wants to find faithful stewards, and our stewardship should be clear in all the sense. Don't forget that the most important thing in tithe is recognizing that God is the owner of everything we can have, and of course is the owner of us. So this lesson was a reminder of 3 important points. First, the tithe is everyone's duty. 2, the tithe it should be delivered to the church. And third, the tithe should be the first, even if you have some discounts of your salary. Thank you so much, and keep studying these lessons. See you next week.